Hi everybody, this is Gijs again with another review and I hope you are doing well. This time it's a review about a drone, but which one? Which one of the three? Well, it is about the new DJI Mini 3 Pro. So the question is going to be, since I own a DJI Mini 2 and a DJI Air 2S, am I going to fall in the trap the DJI sent me and buy the new DJI Mini 3 Pro? Enjoy the review. And welcome back to the review of the DJI Mini 3 Pro camera drone. For those of you who just tuned into my channel for the very first time, it's polite to introduce myself. My name is Gijs. I am an outdoor gear and sometimes bike and sometimes gadget reviewer, and I live in the Netherlands. And as you can see, I'm not in the Netherlands now because I am on holiday in Sweden. I do my work totally independent, so that means that manufacturers are not paying me for my reviews. So if you like what I do at the end of this video, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because that makes my effort really worthwhile. Thank you so much in advance if you do. And don't forget to hit the alarm bell so you know when I uploaded a new video. Now let's start with the review on the DJI Mini 3 Pro. This started about 6 or 7 weeks ago when I got an email from DJI that they were announcing this new little drone. The Mini 3 Pro, it is in the under 250 grams category, and that means that you might not need to register this one, or not even might to have a license for it to fly it. But to be sure, always check the local regulations in your country. Now, when I got this email, I thought like, okay, let's have a look at the specs. And I thought at the end, maybe I should ask DJI if I could review this one, because it is 249 grams. That means it weighs as much as my Mini 2. But this one has way more sensors, so it can fly independently. It's got active track, more on this later. And active track, that was the reason why I bought the DJI Air 2S somewhere last year. Now, DJI responded to my email, and yes, a couple of weeks later, the DJI Mini 3 Pro arrived and I started testing. Now, a little bit on the history that I have on DJI drones. I think it was somewhere in 2019 that I bought my first drone. It was a DJI Mavic Pro, which I've been using a lot to really full content. But then I tested a DJI Air 2 and I thought, well, this is really a nice drone, but it did not have enough for me to change my drone, basically. But then the S came onto the market, and the S, it had a bigger sensor, it had more capabilities, and it had active track, so it could follow me wherever I was going, hiking and biking. So I bought that one, and almost on one of my first trips, I went to Switzerland with my youngest daughter. We were going to do some really nice hikes. I was going to do some camping all by myself in the mountains in Val Lunetia. And when we did some footage, the camera dropped from the sky because of an engine failure. Now, I was on the phone with DJI late at night. We looked at the data, and yes, it was an engine failure. They told me, send the drone back and we'll repair it. End of story. Yes, that's what happened. But I was in Switzerland trying to shoot some really nice B-roll shots for some videos that I was doing. So what to do? I called DJI again in the next morning, and they told me that at a local shop they still had a couple of DJI Mini 2s. I went to the store, I bought it, and then I went on shooting with that drone. Now that is this drone, and it is really an amazing device, because I have been using it in the mountains at really high altitude, in really high winds, and that drone did it all. Yes, it does not have active track, so it will not follow me or my daughter when we are walking on a beautiful path basically. But it has got some features, which means that it will lock onto you and it will do automatically a drone shot, for example. And if you do it, then it will sort of follow you if you don't hike too fast, but more on this later as well. Now then this one came and I have been testing it now for about 6 weeks. So let's dive into this little new Mini 3 Pro. Like I mentioned already, it weighs 249 grams, exactly the same as the Mini 2. The size, however, the pack size, which is important for me when I put it into my backpack, this one has a pack size of 145 millimeters by 90 millimeters by 62 millimeters. If we look at the Mini 2, that one has a pack size of 138 millimeters by 81 millimeters by 58 millimeters. Now, the 2S is of course a little bit bigger, which is 180 millimeters by 97 millimeters by 77 millimeters. Now, so this one is bigger than that one, and that one is bigger than both of them. Now, you know the measurements, but for me, of course, volume in my backpack is important. So from all those measurements, I also measured or calculated the volume. Now, the DJI Mini 3 Pro has got a pack size of 809 cubic millimeters. The DJI Mini 2 is a little bit smaller with 648 cubic millimeters. And the DJI Air 2S, more than double of that, 1344 cubic millimeters. So if you are looking for a lightweight and very small pack size drone, then the DJI Mini 2 is still the one to buy. Now, if we're going to look at the specs, the technical aspects of the camera, then it is a totally different ballgame. Because the DJI Mini 3 Pro has a 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor with 48 megapixels effective. The DJI Mini 2 has a 1/2.3 inch CMOS sensor with 12 megapixels. Now, the Air 2S has a 1 inch CMOS sensor with 20 megapixels effective. Does this mean that the Mini 3 Pro outperforms the other two? I guess yes. Now, there are more interesting remarks to make about the camera on board the Mini 3 Pro. In the first place, it has a ISO of 6400, just like the bigger Air 2S, but that one does in photo even 12,800 ISO. The Mini 2 only does 3200 ISO. The 3 Pro has an aperture of 1.7, while the other two have an aperture of 2.8. This means that the Mini 3 Pro should perform better in low light circumstances. But the Mini 3 Pro is the only one that shoots HDR in 4K at 30 frames per second. Now, the gimbal camera has the possibility to turn 90 degrees, so it shoots vertical images. Nice for Instagram stories. In normal horizontal mode, it also has the possibility to fly lower than the object and still shoot video, since the gimbal camera has no obstruction above it. For more specs, I advise you to follow the comparison link in the description below this video. Now, I'm pretty lucky that I was able to review the Mini 3 Pro for about 6 weeks. And that is quite a long time, but of course I have got some experience with drones by now because of those other two. What is actually the same like the other ones is the user friendliness. Because when you take the drone out of its package or out of its very nice pouch that it comes in, it's just a matter of unfolding the legs with the propellers, remove this little plastic part from the gimbal camera that protects it when it's in its pouch, of course, and basically you're good to go. Of course, you have to press the on-off button. But of course, there is a remote involved, and with all my other drones, they gave me this one. It is the RC1N remote control. And this one uses my smartphone as a screen and also with the DJI Fly app on it, so I can control this drone. And I'm perfectly happy with this combination until DJI sent me the new one. Because when they sent me the Mini 3 Pro, they gave me also the old one, but they also sent me this one. And this is the new RC remote control. And this one, it's got the app inside and it's got a really nice 5.5 inch screen. Now, since I've been using this one, I hate to say this, but this one is that user friendly that I don't basically want to go back to the old remote. The differences. Well, in the first place, this remote, when you hold it, it is way more comfortable in my hands. It really has got nice rubberized thingies here and it is very, very grippy. Now it's warm, but when it's a little bit colder and when your hands are wettish, this is absolutely top notch. Now, of course, what we all know from the other drones, from the other control, are these nice metal joysticks. They work absolutely flawless. You can, of course, detach them when you store it away, and then they go on the back side of this one. In the old one, they go underneath here. That's not really a big difference. And what I do like is the fact that in the middle there is the switch, just like on the old remote, between cinematographic, normal or speed. Basically, that is the speed or the flying mode that the drone is in. What is different is that on the, the back side or the front side, there is this scroll wheel, and with this scroll wheel I can tilt the camera up and down. And with this one I can zoom in, and if I'm not totally mistaken, then when you're shooting in 4K it zooms in the double, twice. But it's, of course, it's a digital zoom. It's not a zoom of the camera lens itself. Now, on the back there is the charging port, and you can put a micro SD card in it so that you can store more files here and use them directly. This remote with the big buttons for the camera and for the recording, since I have been using this, it is absolutely super. Now, regarding this USB-C charging point, I have got a very nice yellow cable that is attached to the Storm 2 liquid power bank, and this one is absolutely super to charge the remote with or to charge the Mini 3 Pro. It really is a beast, and I did a review on that one already, so check the description below. The other thing is that when you're basically shooting and using the remote, it's got 4 green LEDs. 4 green LEDs means it's totally charged, and of course when it gets more empty, you get 4, 3, 2, 1. There is also a red LED, and that means that it is not connected or that it is not functioning in the way how it should function. Now, one last remark on the screen itself. You can't see it because it's not on, because it is very bright. I will shine into the camera. You see how much light there is at the moment, but it is a screen that does 700 nits, and when you're just using it like so, even with really bright weather, it is very well visible. You can really see what you are doing with the drone. Now, the pity is I asked DJI if this RC remote control is going to be available also for people who already fly with a Mini 2 or a Air 2S. Yes, maybe, but no guarantees. So at the moment, if you really want this one, then you probably are better off buying a Mini 3 Pro. Getting the Mini 3 Pro when it is connected to the RC into the air, it's really child's play. The only thing that I still don't like is this cover, which is very fiddly to remove and to put on. But in that respect, the 3 Pro is not different than the Mini 2 and the Air 2S, because I found that system very fiddly on both of them too. I'm not going to discuss everything that this drone is capable of, because I use the drone mostly to shoot B-roll images from hikes or things that I do in the outdoors, and sometimes just on holiday because I like the beauty shots of our holidays. And I always shoot in 4K and at 30 frames per second. I do this with the drone, I do this with the DJI Pocket 2 gimbal camera that I own, and also with the big Panasonic GH5 that is actually shooting this image. And I'm doing this because, yes, I know 24 frames per second, everybody says it's more cinematic. Yes, might be true, but I like 30 frames per second because then I can also take stills out of basically the video that I'm shooting, which is sometimes important when I do an article and I need some photographs. But also because of the fact that tracking is not supported above 30 frames per second in 4K. And now that I say tracking, I need to explain a lot about tracking that you can do with the Mini 3 Pro. DJI came up with something that basically locks onto an object. And it does not do this totally automatic. Of course, you need the remote for this. It's just a matter of most of the time drawing a square around the object that you want to track, for example a car or a person moving. In my case, I often track myself. And what it does, it means that the drone will keep the object in the frame. Now, focus track, there are 3 ways of focus tracking. And the first one is Active Track 4.0. Active Track 4.0 means that if you draw this square around a person, that the drone will follow at a distance and a speed that you set basically. Now, the big difference between the Mini 2 and the Mini 3 Pro is that this one does not have Active Track and this one does. The Air 2S does this, of course, too. Now, why is this? The difference is basically in the sensors that it has to avoid obstacles. The Mini 2 is not equipped with any sensors at all. So when you fly it and you fly it into a tree, it will really get into the tree. Now, the DJI Mini 3 Pro, it's got sensors that go to the front, it's got sensors that go to the back, and on the bottom it has got also sensors. So it knows when it goes down. What it does not have is a sensor that sensors up. And that is the difference with the DJI Air 2S, because this one has got sensors that also go upwards. So in this way it is like 4-dimensional, if you can say it in this way, and this one is more 3-dimensional and that one is non-dimensional. Now this is very important to understand for this focus track thingy, because if I ask the drone to track myself, then I just want to hike or run or bike or be in the car, and I expect the drone to follow me. And when it hits a tree or when it sees a tree, I expect it to move around it. And this one and that one, because of this this Active Track 4.0, does this absolutely flawless. I have been going into woods with this one, trail running, just to see how good the 4.0 is on this little drone. And yes, it works absolutely brilliant. And I don't know if you can hear this, but the wind is really picking up now. There's a lake over there. It's a beautiful scenery that I'm in, but there is some weather change expected tomorrow. So that's why I'm doing this video now in sort of a hurry. Now, this one, you really have to be aware of what you're doing. Because of the lack of sensors, it will fly into a tree. Now, Active Track 4.0, there are basically 2 ways to use it. The first one is like the chase mode. That means that it will be the moving object, the drone, and it will just follow it. The other one is parallel. Then the drone is on the side and it will follow it in a parallel way. The nifty thing is that if you lock onto an object, or let's say if I lock onto myself and I put it in chase mode, Then when I'm running and I've got the remote here, then I can press the parallel button and it will change to parallel, and then you get really nice dynamic shots. And this is something that I discovered when using the Mini 3 Pro, and I tried it yesterday with the Air 2S, and yes, it works with that one as well. So I don't know if this is a new feature, but at least it's possible, and this makes really nice dynamic imaging. Now with the Mini 2, this is absolutely not possible. Like I said, there is a little trick that you can do, but more on that later. Now, active track is one of the focus track functions. The other one is point of interest 3.0, POI. That means that you log onto, in this case, myself, and what I can tell the drone to do is just fly a circle around me at a certain speed and distance. Now the third one is Spotlight 2.0. That means I draw the square around myself again, and wherever I move the drone with the remote, I will be in the middle of it. And I can do everything that I like, but the drone will keep track of me. And now that I'm saying this, we go almost seamlessly into some other tricks that this little drone has up its sleeve. One of those tricks is called Mastershots, and Mastershots means that you put it in master shot mode and you select the object that you want to shoot images of. Then you press a button and basically the drone goes up into the air and flies a pattern in the air and creates a really nice movie all by itself. One is the Quickshots methods, and again here you select yourself. You are basically again the point of interest, or a house or a car, whatever, and you tell the drone what action to perform. Now the first one is the droney shot. That means that if the drone is, in this case, the object, the drone will fly away from the object. The second one is the helix. Then if this is the object again, the drone will spiral around it. The third one is the rocket, and the rocket, that means that it goes totally in one direction upwards. Then there is the circle, again a point of interest that we might already have seen in one of those active track functions, and then it just circles around the object. The one that I like a lot is the boomerang, because then it takes the object and it flies in a large wide oval circle around it. Now the asteroid, it just goes up and makes a sort of world-like images, and then it turns into a ball and whatever. I think this is a too trickery kind of image that I never use. Like I said, I like to use the boomerang, sometimes the droney and the helix. They are the best ones. The third one is the hyperlapse, and the hyperlapse is like a dynamic time-lapse. With a time-lapse, you've got the camera on one spot and it takes stills, and that creates a video. But with a hyperlapse, basically the drone is flying through the air, taking pictures at a certain amount of time intervals, and then in the end you have got a hyperlapse video. And sometimes it can be very nice. I've discovered that when you're doing sceneries like outdoors that I am in, it's not that interesting, but when you are flying in, for example, more dense areas with buildings around it, it can get a really nice dynamic image. Now that was about basically all the ways of shooting with the drone, and of course you can fly yourself. You don't have to use focus track or any other of those nice features. You can all do it by yourself, of course, as well. But now one question that I'm always interested about is, how good is active track actually? Now I'm totally convinced. I already was it with my DJI Air 2S, and with the Mini 3 Pro it's actually the same. Again, remember this image that you saw when I'm running in the forest. What happens is, because the drone looks for a way around trees, you really get a nice dynamic footage. And what I also discovered is that when I'm hiding behind trees, I did a hike with my family, and the drone was up in the air and we disappeared behind a couple of trees. And also with the car driving in a beautiful landscape in Sweden, we were getting behind trees. Then you see on the remote that this green dot that should be around the object that it is tracking, for a short period disappears, but as soon as the car or the family or me are past those trees, the drone will actually follow me again. And active track in this way is getting better and better every time. And this is when I get really rewarded, because this means that I get really nice footage without really a big hassle. Now, regarding the Mini 2 that I own, since it does not have any sensors, it does not have any tracking capabilities, so in that respect you cannot do it. Except when you put this one in one of the quick shot modes, because that is on this drone as well. And then when you move not too fast and you do, for example, a circle, then the drone will actually keep tracking you. But be aware, it's got no sensors, so when there is a mountain, a building or a tree in the way, you will absolutely crash the drone. Now, when you buy a drone, you're always curious about image quality. And here I have to do a disclaimer, I think, because I'm not the person that is too knowledgeable on image quality, basically, because when I fly the drone and also with a lot of my cameras, except for the GH5, I mostly shoot on automatic. Yes, it's got a pro function as well. Sometimes I use it when I've got a lot of time to play around, but mostly I don't have the time, and I am pretty happy with the image quality that I get when it is on full automatic. And now that I've said this, always there is an exception, because with the DJI Air 2S I sometimes shoot in 10-bit D-Log, because this gives me way more options if I want to do color correction or play around with the colors, how do you call this, color profile in post, basically. But I hardly ever do this for my own videos, because sometimes it takes a lot of time, and time that I just don't always have for my own projects. Now, 10-bit D-Log, it's not on the Minis, not on both of them, but overall I am very, very happy with the image quality of all three of them, except for one little thing, that is the low light capabilities of the Mini 3 Pro. It is way better than, of course, the Mini 2, but between the Air 2S and the Mini 3 Pro, well, to be totally honest, I could not tell. Now, when shooting in a landscape, you are always longer in the air than you basically expect, and the battery is always sooner dead than you hope. Regarding the flight time, DJI promises 31 minutes with the batteries of the DJI Mini 3 Pro, but this is at a speed at 21.6 kilometers per hour and in windless conditions. Now, to be honest, I never ever fly in windless conditions, but I measured on average about 20 to 28 minutes. Last week it was very, very windy on the mountains. I think it was even more than 35 kilometers per hour, and I managed to get about 15 minutes out of the battery, and I thought that was absolutely fine, because the DJI Air S2 performs almost the same, and the Mini also gets to about 30 minutes of flight time under friendly weather circumstances. Now, if 31 minutes under ideal circumstances is not enough, then you can buy the Intelligent Flight Battery Plus from DJI, because then you have a flight time of 47 minutes. But be aware, if you use that battery, the weight of the drone goes up to 290 grams, and you're not fulfilling the requirements anymore of this lightweight under 250 grams drone category. Now, one thing that surprised me when I got the DJI Mini 3 Pro is that in the pouch there were, yes, the drone, there was this charging docking station with 3 batteries. When you buy the drone as new, you only get 1 battery, but this is basically a sort of a combo package. But there was no charger in it, and I thought DJI made a mistake, so I mailed them. No, they did not make a mistake, because the DJI Mini 3 Pro does not come with a charger. Now, not a problem for me, because I have a charger for this one, which is a 18-watt charger, and I could charge the drone. And I mentioned the Storm 2 Liquid already. That is also perfect to charge the drone. But if I use a smartphone adapter, for example, then it really takes ages. So if you don't have a drone already, or have a nice power station or another adapter, then I really would advise you to buy the 30-watt charger from DJI as the optional extra, because basically you cannot do without. I already mentioned that there is not a charger in the package when you buy the Mini 3 Pro, but there are a few things more that I absolutely do miss. The first one is a decent prop transportation guard, because on the Mini 2 I got this plastic piece that wraps around the body and holds the props in one place, so I can put it inside a pocket of a backpack, a jacket, or just into each pouch without any problems. On the Air 2S, that protection guard is missing also, to be honest. With this one and with that one, I just use a elastiband. It works, but it looks a little bit silly, especially if you call this the Pro version. The other one is that I miss decent landing legs. The big difference between the Air 2S is the fact that it has got really nice long legs, and that is an advantage if you land, for example, in grass or uneven grounds. This one does it quite nicely, because it's still got some legs, but this one, it has lack of legs, which is a nice alliteration. Is that how you call this? So that would make it a little bit better in my opinion. Now, the other thing is that if you look at this one when it's in the air and when it's basically flying, you will see that it's tilted backwards. And when it lands, it also goes down like this. Now, the funny thing is that on the front, the legs are rubberized to improve the grip, of course, on the surface. But on the rear ones, they've got really nice slits in there, but they are not rubberized. And that is because this part is part of the battery. Now, I would strongly advise DJI to change this and rubberize these as well, because when I'm not landing in nature, but for example on the hood of my car, which is quite flat and not slippery, this hard plastic on that surface, it just makes the drone go a little bit backwards, and it fell off once. Now, when it fell off the hood, I thought it was broken, and I looked at the props and I saw that they were fixed with little tiny screws. When you've got cold fingers and when the wind is blowing and you're having grass and you have to have a little screwdriver and repair it, it's not very handy. But then DJI corrected me, because on my Mini 2 I have the same props, also with tiny screws, and it never bothered me. So if this is something that I would like to see changed, well, totally honest, no, maybe not. But the last one is that this one is more capable in low light circumstances. Then why didn't you give it a landing light? Because that one has got a landing light. Now, of course, I talked to DJI about this, and the big thing is that they wanted to keep this one also under the 250 grams. That's maybe why it does not have those rubberized thingies. That's why it does not have a landing light, because that adds weight, and that's also why it does not have sensors that go upwards. So that's the reason, weight savings. And now with all this information, it's time to head on to my verdict. How do I rate the new DJI Mini 3 Pro? Now, because of those 5 negative points that I mentioned a little bit earlier, you might think that I'm not too positive about this little drone. Well, totally the opposite. I think this is an amazing drone. What DJI did was basically take the best of the Mini 2 and the best of the Air 2S and put it into a very small, lightweight, packable and very capable flying wonder. Because of the weight limit of 250 grams, everyone can always fly this drone everywhere. But again, look at the laws in your country, which you have to abide, of course. Now, one of the best things about the Mini 3 Pro is basically the RC remote, because I really love this big screen, the way how it holds in my hands and all the big buttons. They are very logical positions. Now, active track and obstacle avoidance is super. For people who don't know much about droning, the predefined shooting modes are very easy to use and will provide you with excellent footage that will make your friends even very jealous. Now, of course, I would like to see some improvements, which is a proper prop guard and rubberized legs on the back, because that makes landing more easy. And now let's talk about the price. The DJI Mini 3 Pro retails for 859 euros. And then you get in the package a drone, one battery, some cables, some spare props, some screws and some tiny bits and bobs. But you don't get a charger and you get the old RC1 remote. Now, if you want the new RC remote, which I would strongly advise you to go for, then you will have to pay 1,029 euros. Now, if you want to extend your flying time with more batteries, then there is the combo package, the Fly More kit, and that will set you back a other 199 euros. And still, you don't own a charger from DJI. Like I said earlier, I would strongly advise you to buy that charger, because that one will only set you back 19 euros, and that is quite cheap, to be totally honest. Now, if I compare the Mini 3 Pro to my Mini 2 and my Air 2S, then this one retails for 479 euros and that one for 1,029 euros. And then all of a sudden I have got this strange feeling that the price gap between that one and that one, it's too big, and between this one and that one, it is just too little. So in that respect, I think that the DJI Mini 3 Pro is sort of a little bit expensive. And therefore I rate it, with all the pros and cons in consideration, at 8.7 points out of 10 total. And now back to the question from the beginning. Will I buy the new DJI Mini 3 Pro? No, I will not. Because when I want to travel light and I don't want to have a lot of volume with me, then I take the Mini 2 with me, because I own that one already. It is quite cheap. It does basically a lot of what I ask from a drone. So that one is good enough for me in that respect. If I've got some more space and want to carry a little bit more weight, then of course I take the DJI Air S2, because it does a little bit more, just because of the sensor that will face upwards. So this one is a safer drone to fly in that respect. So all in all, I'm very happy with my two little drones, and I don't need a third one, which is also the more sustainable option, of course. Now, in case my family is watching and you're looking for a present for my upcoming birthday, of course I would not mind receiving a Mini 3 Pro, but I would rather have the RC remote. But then DJI needs to do some tweaking and make it available for these two as well. Now, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video and that it was helpful to you. And if it was, then please give it a like and leave a comment below. And also, if you've got any questions, remarks or suggestions, please use the comment section, because that's what it's for, and I'm more than happy to answer everything that you can throw at me. If you really like this video, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel, because that makes my work really worthwhile. And don't forget to hit the alarm bell so you know when I uploaded a new video. And if you subscribe, many thanks in advance. Greetings from Sweden, and I hope to see you in the next video. Enjoy the outdoors and stay safe. Ciao, ciao! And now, one very big thank you to my wife, who has been helping me with this shoot, because I am wearing a sweater and a cap and long jeans pants, because there are mosquitoes and horseflies everywhere. And I'm not the one who's get bitten a lot, but she has been bitten quite a lot at the moment. So thank you for helping. And now we are going out to have a giant schnitzel, because somebody promised us that there was a very good fish restaurant in the neighborhood that does a perfect schnitzel. That's all, folks. Bye.